Sad news in the NFL. You had to watch last night's game is the first sad part between Denver and San Francisco. 17 total punts. Russell Wilson afterwards. Now I watched the post-game interviews. He called it an amazing game. And no Pro Bowl. I am looking forward to somebody writing in 3 years, why did we get rid of the Pro Bowl again? Because it sucks. It's unwatchable. And last night's Sunday night game was a little unwatchable, although everybody complained and kept watching it because I guess there's nothing else to do. I still think last night's game was better than the Pro Bowl. But let's get to the good stuff because the headliner out of this one is Miami and Buffalo. What Miami did in winning that game at home against the Bills does not happen. All right, I'm going to get to a statistical number here that will prove it. Miami, whoever won that game yesterday, I was going to be thoroughly impressed with because it was an absolute battle. On the Bills side, for all the things that were going wrong with them, they roll into Miami without their secondary. Their offensive line is falling apart. Conditioning was a serious issue for Buffalo. They did not handle the Miami Heat as well as Miami did, which is something you would expect. Stephon Diggs coming in and out of the game a bunch of times there at the end. He just couldn't go because the offense was on the field for over 40 minutes of the game. You also have the fumble where it gives Miami a 6-yard touchdown drive. So you're like, wait, this is a game? Like, it feels like Buffalo's been the better football team. Going into it, I thought Buffalo was better. Coming out of it, yeah, I still think Buffalo's better. I'm not worried about it. But I think it's such an impressive win for Miami because on that other side is it's this goal line stand and all the things that have started to go wrong for Miami here. Tua gets knocked out, comes back in. So Miami's got their own list. We'll get to those. The punt into the butt of the punter's teammate, which is, everybody's all over that one now too. That part of it, which is weird because the announcer, they're up. Miami's up 4 at that point. The announcer's like, I don't know, just take the safety. And you're like, what are you talking about? So now that you're only up 2, a game-winning field goal is in play where if you punt this out, they still have to go for a game-winning touchdown, which is something they just weren't able to do. And as we said, the number of plays that Buffalo was running in this game and some of their own, 3rd and 25, and they got that back in 2 plays. Miami's defense is out there for 40-plus minutes. They can't get Buffalo off the field, although they somewhat contained them when they needed to, better than a lot of teams around the NFL have for the last couple of years. So you have all of these things combined, and they make the goal line stand. I don't know if Allen really, he short-armed it to the guy to the right. They said on the broadcast that it was a game-winning touchdown, and Allen missed it. I don't know if it was that open that it was guaranteed that he was going to get it unless the corner's going to break. I don't think we give corners in real time enough credit for how great their closing speed is. So when we see replays, people just look way more open, even more so on screen grabs that people try to do to prove some points. But then at the end, too, we also saw Ken Dorsey, the OC for the Bills, losing his shit. And I think it's because he thought McKenzie had a better chance to get out of bounds, which I thought live while I was watching it because Buffalo screwed up the ends of halves there. So Buffalo's thinking they had all these things go wrong and they should have won. And Miami's thinking, well, we had our own issues in this game and we won. And I think that's where you look at this for Miami going, hey, 3-0 in the division. It's a huge win for them, standings-wise, whatever ends up happening throughout all this. I'm not going to do Tua up and down every single week. But the reason this is so crazy for Miami is they ran 39 plays on offense, and including the Waddle hit by Tua that was incredible. Biggest play of the game for them, likely on offense. There's only been 3 times another team has run 39 plays on offense or less and won a football game since 1940. 4-0. So what Miami did yesterday does not happen, and they deserve credit for that. Green Bay Tampa was the other kind of headliner with this. It wasn't the most exciting game. Green Bay felt like the superior team. It feels like week 1 against Minnesota where they just let Jefferson run wild. That feels like months ago already. I think Green Bay's going to be good. I think it's one of the great things about somebody like Rodgers or even this case Brady, although it wasn't the case for Brady yesterday, but when you have somebody that's that good at quarterback, and this kind of gets back to the tier stuff we always discuss, and that when you have somebody that's that good, he finds a way to figure out the things around him, and he adjusts and gets everybody on the same page. And Lazard, the wide receiver, that throw to the right side where Rodgers is even impressed with himself, like you can tell from Rodgers and his body language when he's like, man, I can't believe I made that throw, which I think is actually kind of entertaining, maddening if you're going up against it. But that was a huge throw, so it looks like the receivers are coming along. The running game, they got Bakhtiari's back in the game. On the other side for Tampa, they just haven't really put together this offense. Yesterday, I think it's because the receivers were out for the Bucs. No Mike Evans suspension, no Chris Godwin, Julio Jones, who fell down on a catch earlier this season. And it wasn't like he got crunched. He just fell down after a catch, like a diving catch, and looked like he was bummed out, kind of going, man. And that's what you sign up for when you have Julio Jones. They're 2 for 11 on third downs yesterday, and yet they're still a 2-point conversion, which was defended beautifully by Green Bay. Throw out to the right, pass break up underneath. The receiver was covered anyway. Brady went to the receiver after being like, do you think you had a chance? It was like, nope. And there you go. One of those classic NFL games. You're like, how does this team still have a chance to be in a 2-point conversion? Doesn't go their way. Green Bay's now 2-1, and Tampa has an offense that, with the receivers out like that yesterday, I'm not going to now start saying, well, Tampa's offense is a mess. Although Brady has the lowest QBR 3 games in of any season, which is still unfair. Since they started keeping track of the stat. So there you go. And by the way, I think they're on their 3rd left tackle, which transitions perfectly into being aware about injuries we're not always aware about, which is kind of the hidden secret of what happens with this league, or why spreads sometimes don't make a ton of sense, because we, and I include myself in this, certainly, we spend so much time on the quarterbacks, and then like a couple of receivers. I don't think we care about running backs all that much, but there can be 3 to 4 players missing that are super important, unless you're really locked into the gambling part of this, or you cover that team. Granted, if it's your favorite team, it makes sense, but you're not keeping track of the cornerback depth for all 32 teams. And that's what can get lost in a lot of this stuff, because like Buffalo missing a bunch of their guys in the secondary, the Rams were missing 3 corners and a starting safety. So you're wondering, okay, can Arizona do something here? And the answer is no. Arizona's first quarters are a disaster this season. So far this year, they have 0 points in the first quarter. That is last. And they've allowed 31 points in the first quarter. That is last. Not great, Bob. By the way, saw that guy again in Manhattan Beach. Didn't say hi. Kyler, speaking of receivers, still no Hopkins. Rondell Moore out again. A.J. Green left the game, kind of in the Julio Jones class of like, it's cool you signed the guy with the name and the resume. Can you really expect a ton from him? They still have Hollywood Brown, who will make some plays for you. And Dortch, the second-year guy, the little guy, I actually kind of like him too. But this offense is backyard football every fucking drop back. And I think it's just, it's unsustainable to me. They are 29th on third downs. They're converting 28% of their third downs. Now, they are terrific on fourth downs. They're 10 of 14, which is an absurd number, 71%. Not sustainable. Kyler's number 2 in pass attempts at 141, behind only Joe Flacco. I'm sure the Jets were like, hey, you know what we should do about a month into the season? Have Flacco throw it more than any other quarterback in the entire NFL, and that's what we're going to do. Now, granted, when you're down all the time, that's what you do have to do. I'm very worried about Arizona, and now the Rams, who had a week 1 blasting by Buffalo, they sit at 2-1, and you're feeling a little bit better about them, even if their offense isn't exactly clicking, because I still think their defense week to week is still something you feel like is an advantage. One of the other biggest headlines, Jacksonville on everyone's radar now. And this is good, because I feel like Jacksonville, they're never in prime time. Here you are with Trevor Lawrence, a number 1 pick, who wasn't just that guy went number 1. Like, this was supposed to be kind of one of those Andrew Luck, like, this is the guy you want to get number 1. Even if, we've talked with Dilfer about some of the concerns about if it were to go poorly, maybe these are the tendencies that he has. Last year, he didn't see the field. It was very weird. Some of the red zone stuff, maybe not always red zone, but close enough game situation. Like, hey, at the very least, don't turn it over because a field goal works for us in this spot. And it was just a disaster. 12 touchdowns, 17 picks, 59% completion rate. This year, taking care of the football. And on top of that, his completion percentage at 69% through this point. Let's look at the offense also. They're 7th in points per game. They were last season. A jump from 15 points per game to 28 points per game through 3 games. Their third down conversion, they're 11th in the NFL. They were 28th on offense last season, and they beat a Chargers team, the talented Chargers, who are now 1-2. And the reason we bring up talented Chargers, well, it's tough to be talented when the guys aren't playing. They lost in this game Bosa, Murray, their center, Lindsey, who's one of the best. Their left tackle, Slater, who's one of the best. We already know Keenan Allen was out. They lost another receiver late. And it looked like Brandon Staley, their head coach, was determined to lose another one of their potential all-time Pro Bowlers in Justin Herbert. I am not a why is this guy in here when it's the quarterback tweeter, because I think that's what quarterbacks do. They keep playing. And when we give them credit for continuing to play when clearly hurt. The quarterbacks are going to want to keep playing when they're hurt so that they can get that credit, because we always talk about what that means in the locker room. We hear it from teammates, guys that do this for real, not just us talking about it, that will compliment the quarterback who stayed out there and kept battling over and over and over again. So I think there are times we saw it even when it happened against the Chiefs, when it was clear he was hurt, and then it looked like they still might win that football game, right? Because he was going to get all this credit for battling through an injury, because that's the standard the quarterbacks are held to. So I don't blame quarterbacks for continuing to want to do it, because we also kind of, like, if we don't do it publicly, we sort of secretly crush them and ask questions. This made no fucking sense whatsoever. Jacksonville's up 38-10. We know Denver wasn't up 38-10. Jacksonville's up 38-10 with under 5 minutes to go, and Herbert runs out there for another series. Makes no sense. Why haven't you talked about Philly yet, Russillo? Let's do a slight dipping of the toe into Philadelphia, because now it looks like in some places they're the favorites. I know Jason Garrett, who's new at television, and I can tell he's kind of just like, let me say some shit. He called the Eagles the best team in the NFL. I think that's a little lofty at this point. We knew the NFC East, that division, the way it lined up with their other divisions, had the weakest strength of schedule. And the Eagles are 3-0 with wins against Detroit, Minnesota, Washington. Detroit's like, I don't want to say good, but that's a competitive football team. That's that conference rival, and they're good at home. And, you know, they're different now. They are different. And St. Brown's a stud. I know he got dinged up a little yesterday, and they get Jameson Williams at some point, too, from Alabama. I don't know if that's going to be this season. But the point is, Detroit is not just it's not Detroit of the past. Minnesota's kind of hit or miss. They pulled it out yesterday. Washington's awful. They sacked Wentz 9 times yesterday, 9 times. So Hurts, through 3 weeks, his yards per attempt and his EPA, I'm using this from Mike Sando's athletic piece every Monday, those are the best numbers for an Eagles quarterback through 3 weeks of a season in 22 years. Continuing on that piece from The Athletic, the model they use is the Eagles will be favored now against every opponent the rest of the way. And if you look at the resume, or I shouldn't say resume, let's say the roster of the opposing quarterbacks the Eagles are going to play the rest of the season, this team is going to win a lot of games. I don't know if that makes them the best. I don't know if it makes them the favorites to come out of the NFC. But the Hurts part of this is changing what you think they're possible of, as opposed to, I think, other times where a team who you're just totally unsure of what the quarterback situation is, and they have a nice record, and maybe it was an easy first month. So there you go. I know people want Bill Belichick and Tom Brady legacy rankings. We need more data. It'd be too soon at this point.